It always means big name, and it doesn't get much bigger than Joe McElderry.
First thing to say is last time I spoke to you, I couldn't get over how many people on social media, on Twitter, got in touch to ask you questions and to say they were listening to the interview. You've got fans everywhere. How does that feel?
It's really nice. I feel very fortunate that it was 5 years ago since the first audition, just a Friday gone, and I feel very fortunate that I still, have people have stuck with us and been very loyal and supportive. Because in this industry, long careers are very rare. So I'm thankful that I've managed to survive 5 years of this crazy industry.
Oh, I can't believe it's 5 years since I was queuing to go through the time tunnel, and they'd actually written it up there, hadn't they? Where it said, Vote Joe.
Yeah, they had on the barrier things, I think, the computerised barriers that tell you how much you need to pay.
Yeah, that's right.
Had on there. It was quite, it's a shame because I never got to see any of that because obviously I was down in London doing the show. Not so long ago, my grandma had a big scrapbook kind of filled with all of the articles and press cuttings, and I didn't realise how actually X Factor crazy the North East went after that. It was amazing.
They loved you, and they blatantly still do, so you're doing something very right.
Well, I try.
Now, Joe, you're coming to Shropshire, you're coming to Shrewsbury on Friday the 5th of September to play at Theatre 7. Is it somewhere you've played before?
No, this is the first time. We'll just finish a massive 60-day tour, which finished at the end of June. And I've visited loads of different places that I've never been to before, towns, cities, venues. And it was so nice to kind of, sometimes when you do a load of concerts, you end up kind of visiting the same venues all the time, which is fine. But it's nice to kind of get the experience of doing different venues. So we decided to add a few more dates to go on, leading up pretty much until Christmas. And I was like, let's do some more venues that I've never played before.
Do you get mobbed, though, when you go somewhere new and you think, I'm just going to pop down to the post office? Do you get mobbed? It's a very rare that when I get to a place, I get to actually go outside. Because you normally get there around about 2 o'clock. I go straight into the venue, sound check, rehearse or change anything in the show that needs changing. And then before you know it, it's the show, and then you literally go out the side of the stage door, straight into a vehicle, and off to the next place. So I rarely ever, unless I have a day off somewhere, I rarely ever get to see these places. So people go, you must get to see so many things. And I'm like, I see lights, a stage, and people, and that's it.
Well, you should try, if you can, have a look around Shrewsbury, because it's lovely.
Somebody else said that, actually. Somebody said it's a really beautiful place, so I might try.
And our door's always open, Joe. You just pop and see us.
Yes, I'll get the kettle on, I will.
Yeah. There's always an excuse to have the kettle on. We'll be definitely having tea.
Tea is important. Do you know, Joe McElderry is the type of bloke that would make tea for you?
Yeah, I think he would, actually, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just instantly like him.
That's even more of a reason for him to swing by here when he's in Shrewsbury.
So he can make us tea.
He'd get around in, wouldn't he, of tea?
Yes, he would.
Imagine, he'd never leave this building,
I have a question. Do you think he dunks?
Oh, that's a good question. Dunk or no?
I would like to think he doesn't.
No. I mean, we both know, you and I, know that that's the right thing
of
to
course.
do. Don't dunk.
Dunking is wrong.
Just messy.
More from Joe McElderry on the way. More of your questions.
More after this from Kelly Marie.
On the show answering your questions. Now, loads of questions coming in. Louise said, now, what about next year? Are you on tour?
Yes. Well, I'll get wrong for announcing anything yet, but we'll have a big announcement about next year, which will be coming soon. But yes, you will be seeing a lot of performances, so yes.
And she also said, yeah, you've given it away. No, you haven't. She also said, are you learning to play a musical instrument?
Well, I was supposed to. At the start of this tour that I've just done, I had 2 months off before it started. On New Year's Eve, after a few alcoholic beverages, I will admit, I said I'm going to learn an instrument and I'm going to play it on the tour. And then, so I started to have the time off, and then I got asked to do the jump in Austria, and it kind of took up all the time. So maybe next year. It's my dream to actually be able to write a song on a piano and then sit on stage and play it to an audience. I would love to be able to do that. So It's just finding the time though, and I'm a bit impatient, so I want to kind of skip the learning part out and just be able to do it. But I know that that's not going to happen.
You need one of those keyboards you just press demo on, and you just impress people doing that. Another question. This is from Mona. She says, "Are there any plans for Joe to perform in Germany one day? I am a huge German fan."
I'd love to. I'd love to. If the demand was there and people wanted to go out there, then I'd definitely consider it. The problem is I would have to release some music there first. Otherwise, if I just went out and started touring, it probably wouldn't work. So maybe I'd release some music there first and then follow it up with a tour.
Yeah.
Mary Lou says, album number 5.
Yeah, well, I've started kind of discussing and trying out demos and recording little things and trying, I suppose, the sound that I wanted to sound like. So it's definitely in the development stages, but I would say it probably won't be out until early next year anyway. So I've still got a bit of time to work on it. I want it to be right, and I want to do the right material, and whether to do the classical stuff or a bit of pop, or it's just kind of working out the sound I want to go with.
Paula on Twitter has asked about when you do your big gigs, do you look for local talent as your support acts?
Well, actually, we've thought about that at the start of the tour, about possibly trying to, run some sort of competition to get some people to come down and support. But with 60 days, it kind of proved a little bit too difficult to kind of orchestrate it all in such a short space of time. But definitely, it could be a possibility for next year if we had enough time to plan it. Like we invite people down or people submit videos, something like that.
Vicky and myself play a mean demo button on a keyboard if you need us to come and do that. We could
you could do like an Elton John and Kiki D duet, couldn't you?
Yeah, no
Don't Go Break My Heart or something.
I'm not sure who would
be Elton.
You could be Elton John. That's fine.
Is this the real reason Adam's away today? Is this why? Because we might make this happen.
Yeah, because he's busy pressing the demo button and
Yes.
trying to look cool at the same time.
Yeah, and be Kiki D.
Could you imagine if we were there on Friday nights?
Yeah.
And supporting Joe McElderry.
Boo! When's
Adam
Joe coming on?
Green.
What's happening? Now, loads of questions came in when you were talking to Joe, so you can hear more of those and more from Joe McElderry on the show after 4 o'clock.
Eric and Claire.
Mrs. P said, apart from X Factor, who or what has left you speechless?
Oh, wow.
That question.
That is a good question. I suppose, I think, with certain points in my career over the past 5 years, obviously doing something like Pop Star, Opera Star, and winning that was kind of a moment where you just kind of take a step back and just think, wow, I can't believe I get to do this as a job, and actually being out when we were out in Austria in February for the jump, recording it, I was on top of a mountain, like skiing, and I thought, this is a job, And I was I just stood at the top of the mountain and thought, wow, I'm very fortunate and lucky to be at such a young age and experience what I've experienced. It's things like that. It sometimes hits you when you least expect it.
Yes, that's when we spoke last, isn't it? Just after the jump, because I've watched that and it was a fantastic programme. This is from Alicia, who says, you've achieved so much over the last 5 years, Joe. What has been your most memorable and favourite moment? Maybe it was stood at the top of a ski jump, I don't know.
Well, yeah, for all the wrong reasons, probably. Fear. No, I think probably releasing my fourth album. When I released my fourth album, that was a big deal, because obviously it's very, like I said earlier, it's very rare that, especially coming off a show like X Factor, it's very hard to sustain a career in the music industry. So to be able to have made it to 4 albums, that was a big deal for me. And also I did a huge homecoming concert in my hometown in a big outdoor park, and there was just a sea of people that went so far back. There was something like 20,000 people there, and that was when you've been brought up in a small town, and then all of a sudden you're standing there performing to pretty much the whole town. That was another moment. So I've had so many. For me, everything happened so fast. It's like little snapshots all the way along that I'm like, wow.
Tamsin wants to know your worst habit.
Biting me nails, terrible.
Oh dear, right the way down.
Yeah, really badly. I think it's because, I suppose, before I'm going on stage, the adrenaline's going, I'm a little bit nervous, and I bite them all the time. It's really, really bad. They're everybody that meets, I can see them looking at me nails in horror. They're terrible.
So if that's a habit, Joe, what on tour is the one thing you couldn't live without that perhaps is a good thing in your life?
Well, it used to be Diet Coke. and I was addicted to Diet Coke. I used to drink it all the time, but I've quit it now, and I haven't drank it for 3 months. So now I'd probably say honey and lemon is always on the tour, with green tea, and I always take a candle because dressing rooms sometimes smell. So I take a big smelly candle, and as soon as we get into a venue, we light the candle, and it's a smell that I always recognise. So it kind of makes you feel like a home from home.
So what's the flavour you've gone for?
I have a huge Yankee candle, which is, I can't pronounce it, it's Wakiki melon, and it makes the room smell like you're in the Caribbean. It's incredible.
I've got a marzipan one. That should be your next candle.
That's a nice smell as well. That's one of my favourite smells.
That is, you're so rock and roll, Joe.
I live such a rock and roll lifestyle.
You know, if I was on tour, I think I'd have honey and lemon and green tea. Just, nice and homely.
Your family would approve of that.
But yes. I mean, do you know what? I can't drink alcohol before I sing because I lose my voice. So I think if I could, maybe there'd be a few bottles of vodka in there, but unfortunately I'm not. I think it's a blessing in disguise.
Well, Joe, have a fantastic time in Shrewsbury, won't you? Hope it goes really well.
Thank you. You should come down as well if you have time.
We certainly will. We'll try and be there.
We'll try. Thank you, Joe.